All right, good morning again. I'm sitting in my massage chair before I go and grind it out at Meineke Sentiments, and I don't know if some shop owners, or private owners, or even big owners, you know that they have the right to refuse service for any customer. And the less experience that you have in our business, in our industry, the more susceptible that you are to be tortured and possibly in the courtroom. And so, what I mean by that, have I refused service on people's cars? Absolutely. I have pulled people's cars into my shop knowing that they're falling apart. And for instances, one is that the ever so popular, I just need an oil change, that the door handles don't work, the hood doesn't open or close properly. It's bungee corded down. I've even had somebody come in with a phone USB cord tying it down and tell me, "Oh yeah, you can still open it." Um, the light goes off in my head, and like, these people don't fix their cars, and I don't care what their budget is. They have a vape in their mouth, they have weed in their car, liquor bottles, uh, you know, fast food restaurants. So there's some type of money. So I don't want to hear that they don't have any money, or they wouldn't be driving their car around. That's for sure. So yeah, I've definitely refused some vehicles. I've even pulled people's cars in who are asking for an oil change, that their brakes are grinding, or their brake pedals on the floor, or they've had front end parts wire tied or zip tied on. I backed that shit right out. I had a guy come in for an oil change. I probably have thousands and hundreds of refused services for people. Hundreds, if not thousands. I don't put air in people's tires that are dry rotted, cracked, or bald on one side. I won't even check their air. I will not plug a bald tire or worn out tire. Refuse, refuse, refuse. And I don't believe you're making a customer if you're doing them a favor by fixing an unsafe system of their car. Do you understand what I'm saying? So if they come in and they have a bald tire and it's dry rot and cracked, they ask you to plug it. What happens when they go down the road and it blows out and they crashed? I mean, I've watched people's tires fly off on Route 130 in front of my shop multiple times. Blowouts, accidents, wheels coming from the stoplight up the street because they came to a stop, their wheel fell off and rolled all the way down the highway past my shop, caused like a 10-car pile up. So there's multiple reasons why I refuse service on people's cars. They come in and their engine's knocking, and they're like, "Oh yeah, can I just get some oil?" Nope. Can I just get an oil change? Nope. I won't do it. I won't do it. Just the way that it is. And I'm not being a dick about it. It's protecting myself, and maybe it'll force them to actually fix their car and not create an unsafe condition for the other, motorists. Even people's homes. How many people crashed into, parked vehicles or homes for one reason or another, being under the influence or health conditions or vehicles out of control. But yeah, you have the right to refuse service for anyone. It's your business. It's your responsibility. Um, you got to protect yourself. Um, I just don't play in that game. Back to the story. I had a guy come in for an oil change. So I bring the car into the shop. I try to open the hood. The hood release is broken. So he's like, "Oh, well, let me show you how to open it." I was like, "No, no, 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 no. Either you fix it or you go someplace else." So he didn't want to fix it. We backed the car out, and you know what? He actually wound up coming back with the hood release handle fixed. He may have fixed it himself, and he's been a religious, good customer. And that's the extreme case, of me refusing service on somebody's car. But that tells you a lot about the shop that you're going to too. That they're quality people, and they want you to have a vehicle that works and everything operates properly. So if you think about that, the guy who's going to plug or patch your bad tire, or steel belts coming out of your tire, or change your oil with oil pissing out of it, or antifreeze and power steering fluid, what does that tell you about that place? It tells you they're greedy, for one. They don't care about you. They don't care about your vehicle. It's only about the mighty dollar. For me, it's not about the money, because I don't care if you get your car fixed or not. You can leave, because somebody else is going to wind up showing up to get their car fixed also. So, and then also today's vehicles with TPMS valve stems, like, "Oh, can you just put air in my tire?" I hear that shit all the time. Are you prepared to spend $100 or $150 for a new tire monitor if it breaks off in my hand? Or if that's actually the problem with your car? You don't even ask us to diagnose your tire. You just say, can you put air in it? I refuse all those people if they're not my regular customers because I know the history of the car. So there's a lot of reasons why I just don't put air in your tire. And there's gas stations and other places. And, I don't want to hear that it wasn't like that. And I'll give you a scenario like yesterday. Our used car dealer called the shop and said, hey, I have this person who has a breathalyzer in their car, blah, 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 all this bullshit. I was like, okay, well, get it disabled. I don't want to touch or put my mouth, and I don't give a shit. I don't want to be bothered with that crap. I don't care if they're the cleanest person in the world or the dirtiest person in the world. Doesn't make a different race, color, or creed. I don't give a fuck. I'm not touching or doing that shit. So then we wound up getting roped into the job. The breathalyzer place said it needs a starter. The used car dealership said it needs a starter. The customer said it needed a starter. Just put a starter in the car. Okay, no problem. The customer disables it themselves. I tell her not to shut the car off. We'll bring it into the shop. We'll shut the car off. We'll change the starter. It's a Honda. And so we do the job. We can't start it because she has a device that is part of the module that starts it. We just push it in neutral, push it outside. She shows up, puts her little device back on it, starts the car right up, and then she starts bitching. I'm like, okay, well, what's the problem? My car still starts the same. Yeah, well, so you specifically said customer request, put a starter in. Yeah, but it still has a delay. What do you want from me? Your breathalyzer place said that you need a starter. I don't know what your problem is. We were just told to do that. Well, how do I know you put the starter in the right way? It still starts the same way, the same words that came out of your mouth. So the starter obviously wasn't your problem, or you just don't know this vehicle. So if you want a diagnostic, we're like, okay, it's $90 to figure out, what your problem is, because you weren't here for a diagnostic. You basically tortured us to put a starter in your car, and we did that. Nor did we know how the car started before we brought the vehicle in or after, because of the breathalyzer debacle bullshit, which that's why I don't want to get involved in that crap. I really don't care. So then she goes to turn her radio on and she says, well, my radio doesn't work now. What did you do to my car? I was like, do you have the theft code for your radio? No. Well, then what do you want from me? I have to disable your electrical system to work on your car. So she's like, well, what am I supposed to do? I'm like, take ownership of your own vehicle. It's your problem. You're supposed to have the code. Just like you're supposed to have the code to your phone. Don't play stupid with me. So she got all pissed off and she left. I tried to refuse service on this type of vehicle only for the bullshit drama that I knew that was going to come about this. And also the demeanor of the person who brought the vehicle. I can read body language. I can tell. And I just said, fixing the car for the money that we made wasn't worth the bullshit and aggravation afterwards. So you have the right to refuse service for anyone. Jude works at the Ford dealership and part of the asset program, and I kind of pick his brain all the time. They take in every piece of shit for whatever it is. Rusted out rocker panels for an oil change, can't lift the car up properly, they bring it in. Vehicles that are too big for lifts and oversized, they bring it in. They don't turn anyone away. And well, maybe because it's corporate and they can't. But I can imagine what their customer complaints are like too, because you can't tell me that everyone who's going to a dealership for service and repair, that they don't expect something for free, thinking that something's under warranty or recall. And then when it doesn't happen, that they're not bitching and complaining. So they would have just stopped them at the door, and they probably do when, it's not a warranted repair and the customer shows up and says, hey, my check engine light's on. Or like, well, let's stop right here. It's $190 just to road test and check your car out. And they're like, what do you mean? Just for you to check my car out? Yep. So they probably have a shield up there that deters people. I know the Toyota service writers up the street from us, and this was a few years ago, absolutely crystal clear, make you sign before you even get in to the service department. Someone comes out and walks around your car and interviews you and says, fix it or not, you owe the shop $180 or $150 just to look at your car. And I've experienced that myself. So I can imagine how many people just say, I'll go someplace else. But you have the right to do that. Protect yourself at all times. Thanks for watching.